Good morning. We're on Nun Vav Amud Beis, about 10 lines from the bottom. So the Mishnah is holding where he came out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and he spoke yesterday about stands where he put the blood down. First, the blood of the bull he had put, and there was a second one that he put the blood of the sawyer. Now, after he finished doing the sprinkling of the blood in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, now he's going to do the same thing over again in the Ol Moed. And the Mishnah said he did it Keneged Ormi Bachutz. He's standing in the Ol Moed, and he's sprinkling towards the Parochas. So the Gemara brings the pasuk to tell us where you know that from. Tan Rabbana, we're 6 lines from the bottom on Non Vav Amud Beis. Is that again? Non Vav Amud Beis. So Tan Rabbana. So that's the whole pasuk. It says 4 words. The pasuk doesn't say elaborately how he does from the blood of the bull, 1 up and 7 down, and of the goat, 1 up and 7 down. It just says whatever he did in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, do again. So too should he do to the Ol Moed, whatever he did in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. That's the pasuk where we learn out the whole repeat of all of these hazos, all of these sprinklings of the both bloods, done again in the Ol Moed, in the Heichal, after we did it already in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Why do you need this pasuk? To tell you that he repeats it. Whatever he did in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies, the Lefnai v'Lefnim means the inner of inners, as far as you can go, the inner room. So too does he do the outer room, the Heichal. And the Brisa elaborates. Just like in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, we did 1 up and 7 down of the bull and 1 up and 7 down of the goat, so too it does the same thing in the Heichal also. The pasuk ends off, the pasuk is really one pasuk. Just to highlight it, I'm not able to get it again. Okay, I didn't get it. Okay, one pasuk, and also that's the pasuk. So the Hashem who resides with Am Yisrael in their Tumah. So it seems that the fact that we're doing this Kippur, that he's being mechaper, so the Chippur HaKodesh, Tmos B'nai Yisrael, so the fact that Hashem is with us, with our Tumah, we're doing the sprinklings of the blood in order to atone on that. But after all, it says that Hashem is with us in our Tumah. And the drash is a little bit agarta. Even when Am Yisrael is Tumah, still the Shekhinah is there. Don't think that when Am Yisrael is holy, then Hashem is with them, and if not, then Hashem leaves them. Even when Am Yisrael is Tumah, still Hashem is with them. The Gemara brings a little bit of agarta. Usually it's a stuki would be a censorship. Usually it would be like a min, which were the Christians at that time. Usually the real gisa would be mashumad or something like that. Now you're surely Tumah. This pasuk it says in Eicha, which is talking about Barabais Rishon, but this Tzeduki, this min, is darshaning it at the end of Vayisheni. And some say because the word Shuleh means her tumah is on the bottom. That's talking about a much of a woman that has a tumah on the dress, on the bottom of her dress. But the drash he might be saying is that the tumah is at her end. That Am Yisrael towards the end means the end of the Vayisheni. That's where they are tumah. That's probably what the Christian was trying to say, that Am Yisrael, now you're tumah. So the response was, yes, we are tummy, but Hashem is still with us. Means what do the men want to say? Since you're tummy, so Hashem left you, and that's what the Christians are saying to Am Yisrael. So he responded, "Amalei tachazi maksibu." Come see what it says by Am Yisrael. That Hashem resides with us even when we're tummy. Even when Am Yisrael is tummy, Hashem is still with us. That's the end of the sugya. So far, what we have that the pasuk says that do in the Heichal whatever you did in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Since over there you did by the blood of the bull and the blood of the goat, each one 1 up and 7 down, do the same thing. That was V'chein Yaseh Lo Moed. And on the side point we had a Shachini Tam B'Sof Tum Osam. Even if Am Yisrael's Tameh, Hashem is still with them. The Gemara Zakasha, the 4th line, V'chidav Lamed Behekesh Chozem Lamed Behekesh. This is going back on the Gemara earlier, yesterday's Gemara, that it said if we recall, maybe I'll try to get it up on the screen a second. Just for a second, I didn't prepare it, but maybe we'll put it up on the screen for a moment. I got the wrong one. Okay, I don't want to waste everybody's time, so we'll forget about that. The pasuk a day ago had pointed out that it doesn't say beferish 1 up and 7 down by the bull and by the goat. By the it says he should do up and down, but by the bull it says 7 down. It doesn't say how many up. And by the goat it says 1 up. It doesn't say how many 7 down, how many down. And they're the Gemara, the drasha. You learn one from the other. And at the end of the story, you do by the bull also 1 up, even though it doesn't say so. You learn out from the goat. And by the goat you also do 7 down, even though it doesn't say so. You learn it from the bull. So that calls that it's already a thing which was learned out by Hekesh. How do you know the 1 up and 7 down? Only because of Hekesh. So now to make a double Hekesh, you can't do that. That's against the rules of Drash, that you can't do something which is learned out with a comparison. You can't learn further to another comparison. So here comes out, it's like a double move. That first we learn out the bull from the goat, and then we learn out the goat.
Rashi says in Kachim, that's the rule.
By Kachim, okay. So by Kachim, you can't learn out this double header over here. So you wouldn't be able to learn out the goat from the bull, and then further the Kodesh HaKadoshim from the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So that's the Gemara's kasha. The Gemara says, no, it's not bad. This is not that rule, because here Rashi explains that the Ikra thing it does say by the bull up and down. It happens to say 7 down, doesn't say how many up. It's just missing the detail. But the Ikra halacha does say. It does say that you sprinkle on top. It doesn't say how many. About the goat also, it says you sprinkle 1 up and down. It doesn't say how many down. Just the detail is missing. So that Rashi says that this Madhyama says you could learn out. That's not called the full Hekesh. Just the detail is missing. But it does say the Ikra halacha. If it wouldn't have said it at all, and you would have learned out the whole halacha of sprinkling up or down from the other one, from the bull or the goat, then it would be that the whole thing is learned out from Hekesh. You can't learn out more to the next stage about the Hechel. But everything it does say, it says by the bull up and down, it says by the goat up and down. Some of the details are missing. You have to learn out from each other. That's okay. You can learn out from there to the Hechel also. But the Gemara says that's not so simple. This machlokes about this point. If such a case where it says the main halacha doesn't say the detail, is that already out of the category called the Hekesh, and you're allowed to learn it further? And it's not called learning out a double Hekesh or not. So it's a machlokes. You're getting involved in a machlokes. So the Gemara says a new teretz. This is teretz number 2. The second drasha, the first drasha was to learn out a bull from a goat or a goat from a bull. But the next one is not learning out the bull of the blood of the bull and the Hechel from the blood of the bull of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Then we're already learning out that this room was like that room. The first rush was to learn out the bull from the goat from the bull. The second rush is to learn out that the Hechel is similar to Kodesh HaKadoshim. So it's a different maslul. It's a different lane that we're taking. We're not taking the same thing with the double Hekesh. So that's okay. That's not called learning out a double header over there. And Ibai saying one more teretz, chutz mibifnim b'chada zim legama. We can learn out the whole thing at one time, and Rashi explains that by each one, it does have half the story. Let's say by the bull, it does say 7 down. It just doesn't say how many up. And by the goat, it says how many up. It doesn't say how many down. So part of it does say. It's different than the first test. The first test was that it says both. It says up and down by the bull. It doesn't have all the details. That you're allowed to learn out. This is saying different point. This point is saying that the fact that let's say the 7 down, you could learn out. That let's say beferish. So then you're allowed to learn out other halachas also, not other details, other halachas, even if it wouldn't have said anything about the up. Not the first test was that it says up, it doesn't say how many. And this test is saying that it says the 7 down. So then, since you are allowed to learn one thing out to the Kodesh HaKadoshim, you're allowed to learn the rest of it out also. So that's the end of the Gemara, and the Gemara is happy. The Gemara is happy that you do learn out everything. The question was how are you eligible to do that? And the Gemara said 3 terutzim why it is a good drasha. But it comes out after all the dust settles, everything is true. Whatever you did in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, you did again in the Kodesh. By the bull, 1 up and 7 down, and by the goat also 1 up and 7 down. The next Gemara continues. Tana, new Gemara. Kishu maza eno maza ala parochas ela keneged parochas. We had a similar price a couple of days ago by the kaporas when you were in the Kodesh HaKodashim. So the chiddush was don't sprinkle the blood on the aron itself. It doesn't go on the kaporas. It goes in front of the kaporas. Even though it says al kaporas ulefnei kaporas. Let's not take it literally. There was a drush a couple of days ago that the low al, even though it says al, just like lefnei is not al, so also al is not al. There was a special drasha to say that you don't sprinkle the blood on the kaporas. Here's a similar case, but here's going to be a machlokis. When you're in the heichal, you're in the sanctuary, not in the Kodesh HaKodashim, you're in the outer room. Do you sprinkle onto the parochas or not? The truth is, it doesn't say anything about pasuk. The pasuk says, "V'chein yasel all moed." It doesn't say anything about the parochas. But there's machlokes if it's supposed to be sprinkled on the parochas itself, on the curtain, and the blood stain will go onto the parochas or not. Also, just like in the Kodesh HaKodashim, you did it in front of the parochas and it went onto the floor. So too, you'll do one upward motion and 7 downward motions, but you're doing it without touching the parochas. That's what the Tanna Kama says. Tana, Kishu maza eno maza ala parochas ala keneged parochas. When you sprinkle outside in the heichal, you don't do it on the parochas, you do it opposite the parochas in front of it, and the blood goes to the floor. But here is machlokes. I saw it. I saw my own 2 eyes. And the Rashi brings down the story that Rabbi Yossi, he went to Rome in order to nullify a decree against the Jews. And over there it says that a shade, it says his name was Ben Tamalion, something like that, that he accompanied him and he helped him out. And what was the miracle? How was he able to help him out? He became he's a shade, and he made the princess go crazy. And the king was looking for a remedy for her. And now Rabbi Yossi came and said, I could heal her. How did he heal her? And he told the shade to leave, and the shade left. And then she was healed. And the king said, I'll give you anything. Go into my treasure house, take whatever you want. And there was all kinds of gold and silver there. He didn't take that. He took the decree and he tore it up. The decree was in the treasure house over there. Also, that's how he was able to nullify the decree against the Jews. But Rabbi Yossi was there, probably in the Vatican, and he saw the parochas that was taken from the Bayis Sheni. So he said, I saw it with my own 2 eyes, that there was blood on the parochas. So that means that he's supposed to sprinkle it onto the parochas, not just in front of the parochas. I saw it that it had. I'm not sure why the Rabbanan didn't accept his testimony. Maybe we'll see a little bit more what the Gemara says, and we'll have a hint why they didn't accept it. So far the Brisa says that I saw it, and I saw there was blood of the bull and the goat of Yom Kippur. But the Gemara questions, how does he know which blood it was? It's true, there was blood on it. He says that he saw blood, but how do you know what it was? And he saw that there were spots of blood, means he saw that there were 7, whatever, and he saw it 2 times. But the Dilma, the Parhelim Davish al Sibur, who there were other kinds of bloods. He's also supposed to sprinkle in the Heichal, and that's in Parshas Vayikra where it talks about is that true? And Parhelim Davish al Sibur, that's by if Am Yisrael makes some mistakes and Hedrin Paskin wrong and everyone did an Avera, so they bring a communal sin offering, and over there it says that you bring the blood into the Heichal and you sprinkle it also Lefnei Hashem. Shabbat Pamim Lefnei Hashem. So maybe that's what he saw, and it goes on the parochas. We're going to see soon in a second that the blood of Rabbi Yossi holds over there also probably that blood goes on the parochas. So maybe that's what he saw. How did he know what it was? So the Gemara answers the Chazah, the Avidi Kisidron. He saw that it was an order. So it's a little questionable. What does it mean? What did he see? He saw something that fit the description of the blood of the Yom Kippur only, and not that of the Par Elam Dover or the Siyar Avodah Zarah, which we had in Parsha Shlach. So what is that? What did he see? So here, there are a few pshatim that we've shown him. Rashi says that he saw that it was in a row. Like Rashi learns Kematzlef means that he have the seven spots that would be in a row, which we said that it's not so simple. Not everybody holds that that's Kematzlef, and some say that you don't find that by Malchus they do it in a row, dafka, one beneath the other. That's what Rashi learns. Others learn that he saw that it was a grouping of 1 and then 7, which also the Gemara doesn't say before she's supposed to do. But by Pa'alim Davish al Sibur, there's only 7. There's not 1 and 7. There's only 7. And others say that he saw 8 altogether. The Taisvah Shoshana brings down another pshat. He saw 8, and 8 is only on Yom Kippur. Again, not that the words don't fit so well according to that pshat. The Bidi Kisidron, I should have said that he saw 8. He didn't see 7. But the Gemara says the Teretz, whatever the Teretz is, it says that it was noticeable to him that it was from Yom Kippur blood, and it was not from the Parhelim Davar or from the Siyar Avodah Zarah. That's one version of the story between the Rabbanan and Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi. They're arguing if the blood of Yom Kippur is supposed to go on the parochas or not. There's another version of what it says here. Now here it says Tanan. Tanan usually is a mission. This is not a mission over here. This is a brisa. So they changed it from Tanan to Tanya. The Tanya Nami Gabi Payal Davish al Zibur Kagavna. A similar machlokis we find by the opposite case, but now going to the other side of the story. Payal Davish al Zibur or Siyar Avodah Zarah. Same machlokis. Kishun Mazal Lohi Nogan Beperoches from Nagu Nagu. Tanakama says that when you sprinkle in the Kodesh, just again by Yikra Dalid over there that it says you're supposed to sprinkle in the Heichal, Tanakama says don't sprinkle onto the Parochas. Sheva Pamim, Lefnei Hashem doesn't mean that it goes on the Parochas. If it touched, it touched. It's okay, it's kosher. But not that you're... Oh,
I love you so much.
not that you're supposed to. If it happened, it happened. But Tanakama says that you don't have to. I'm Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi, and you see it in Rome. Here the story goes the other way, that he says he saw the Parochas in Rome, and he says it had blood of the Pa'ilim Dover. And it seems this way the opposite story, that he knew, he could recognize that it was from the Pa'ilim Dover or the Sir Avodah Zarah. Chami saw that Avodah Zarah, and they bring a communal sin offering, and he saw that it was that blood, not the blood of Yom Kippur. And here the Gemara asked the other question, the opposite question. The Dilma, maybe on the contrary, maybe here was the blood of Yom Kippur that he saw, not the blood of a Pa'ilim Davar. And the answer is the Chazinu Davidi Shaloka Sidron. According to this version, so he saw that it was not an order, whatever the order means, either according to Rashi that it was a straight line, or 7 and 1, or 8 altogether. And here he saw that it was not. So he saw that it was for the Pa'ilim Davar and Siyah Avodah Zarah, not Yom Kippur. Anyway, this end of the Gemara, what do we have? That does the sprinkling of the blood in the Heichal supposed to go on the Parochas or not? Tanakama says no, and Rabbi Elazar Bar Yossi says yes. And we pass on Tanakama, and how come we don't accept the testimony of Elazar Bar Yossi that he saw it himself? So some say, you could say, because they say in Nagu that they agree that sometimes it happened. The Kohen or the Kohen Gadol by Yom Kippur, sometimes it did go on the Parochas, but not that you had to. But Rabbi Elazar Bar Yossi doesn't think so, because it wouldn't have happened all 7 of them or 8 so neat. You make a mistake, but you don't make so many mistakes. So that seems to be a machlokas. So whatever the reason is, we don't accept the testimony of Rabbi Elazar Bar Yossi, and we hold that it doesn't have to go onto the curtain. If it does, it does, but it doesn't have to. So both by the Kaporos and the Kodesh HaKadoshim and the Parochas outside of the Heichal, the Kohen Gadol does not sprinkle it onto the Kaporos or the Parochas. He just sprinkles it in front. If that's all good, so we go further. Nusugya. This is a Nusugya Mamish. This lo damim b'damim. Maybe I'll just highlight it because we're gonna have a few sugyas, so maybe it'll be nice to highlight the names of the sugyas. The first sugya is called Nisavu lo damim b'damim. If the bloods got mixed up, means we're gonna see that he does the blood of the bull separately in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, 1 up, 7 down. Then he shechs the goat, then he brings the blood of the goat, then does a 1 up, 7 down. Then he takes the blood in the Heichal again of the bull, 1 up, 7 down, and then the goat, 1 up, 7 down. After that, he mixes the bloods together, the Mishnah said, and then he's going to put the blood on the Mizbeach HaPnimi, the altar, the golden altar, which is inside the Mizbeach HaKtoros. Over there, he's going to do more bloods on the corners and on the top. We're going to see that later on. But this Kohen made a mistake. The Kohen Gadol made a mistake, and he mixed the bloods before he did the sprinkling separately. When he does it in the Heichal, we'll say Pashup Pshat in the Gemara. Rashi says going to Kodesh HaKadoshim, but simpler is to be talking about the Heichal. That in the Heichal he mixed it by mistake before he sprinkled the blood on the blood of the bull separately and the goat separately. What does he do now? The bloods are mixed. He shouldn't have mixed it yet. He should have waited till he did each one separately and then mix it in order to put the blood on the Mizbeach. But he didn't do that on the Parochas yet. So what does he do now? The bloods got mixed up. Since the blood is composed of both, it's a combination, as both blood of the bull and the goat. For some reason, it doesn't become batal. That's a Gemara someplace else, that the damim are not mevatal each other. So the bloods don't nullify each other. So you have both. So he could do it simultaneously. He sprinkles one up, and in that blood, it's all homogenized. He has over there blood of a bull and a goat. So that will count for both the blood of the bull and the blood of the goat. Then he does 7 times down, and also again, it has both of them together. So he did everything in one shot. That's what Rabbi said. That's good enough. He does 1 time up and 7 times down, and it counts for both the bull and the goat because it's mixed in. They told over to Rabbi Yirmiyah what Rabbi said. Rabbi was from Bavel. Rabbi Yirmiyah also was originally from Bavel, but he moved to Eretz Yisrael. The Gemara says about Rabbi Yirmiyah that when he was in Bavel, he didn't understand what the Rabbanan are talking about. He came to Eretz Yisrael. He became super smart. And here it says that he was upset at his old colleagues in Eretz Yisrael that they're saying such foolish things. He said the foolish Babylonians, because they live in the dark land in Bavel, that's why they're saying dark statements. That he attributed to the fact that they live in Bavel. If he'd been in Eretz Yisrael, it's enlightened over here. Avir the Israel Machim over here in Eretz Yisrael, he wouldn't say such foolish things. That's the side point. Bavloi Tipshoy means the foolish Babylonians. the pasuk says in Hazinu where it talks about the Tochacha, it says B'goy Naval Achisem, and I'm going to send them into Golos. They're going to go into a Goy Naval. It's talking about the Chorah. The Mefarshim says talking about the Bayis Rishon. They're going to go to Golos. That was Golos Bavel. B'goy Naval. Targum says B'ama Tipsha. The word Naval, the Targum translates as Tipesh. So that would be nice that he calls Bavloi Tipshoy because the pasuk calls them Bavloi Tipshoy. The pasuk says B'goy Naval, which Targum says Tipshin. So he says.
How does the Targum know to call the Naval is Tipshim?
I don't know. Sometimes the Ramban over there says that the Naval means somebody who's ungrateful. But I guess the Targum said the translation is foolish. Naval. You have to find out the place where the word Naval might be used. But I don't know. So the Rabbi Yirmiyah rebuked or he criticized the Rava, and he said that the foolish Babylonians, they say such kind of things. He says it can't be. It comes out if you do simultaneously, it's true that you have blood. No one argues that the blood of the bull and the goat are both there. But he says if you do one up and then seven down, how could he say that you'll say everything simultaneously? It comes out that you did the one up of the bull, of the goat, before you did that of the bull. The bull has to go first and then the soil. It comes out that you're doing the one up of the goat before you did the seven down of the bull, and it has to be in Afghan order. Rashi says the drushes from the first two words, that has to go in the order of the kapara. Some take out the pasuk completely, you don't need the pasuk maybe. First finish doing what you have to do with the bull, and then the goat. So you can't do the goat before you do the bull. And it comes out if you only one up and seven down, you're doing the goat's blood to be counted before you did the seven of the bull down. It can't be. So Rabbi Yirmiyah says you're wrong. I think Gemara is going to say soon that everyone agreed. Rava agreed that Rabbi Yirmiyah is right. You have to do twice. So you do with the same blood. It's true, the blood is mixed up already. It has both of them. So first you only have kavanah for the blood of the bull, even though you have both of them mixed in. The other one is just coming along for the ride. But I'm not sprinkling that now. I'm just doing the blood of the bull, and you do one up and seven down. And then you do again one up and seven down for the soil. And the Gemara says that everyone agrees to that. That's the way you have to do it. And that's the first question. The next question was, Nis'avulo damim bedamim b'matanos achronos. So Rashi says, we'll see the Gemara is muchal like that this next question is that after he came outside, let's say, he came into the Heichal, and he did the blood of the bull kosher by itself, and then he mixed the bloods. In the first case before, he mixed the bloods right away, and even for the bull also he's mixed up already, and he had to do one up and seven down, one up and seven down. Mm-hmm. But now he did the bull correctly, one up, but then before he did anything else, before he did the seven down of the bull, then he mixed it. Then he chapped. What am I doing? I shouldn't have mixed it yet. So what do you do? So he thought that continue doing down, you have to do seven. You did so far one up of the bull, so you have to do seven down. So do seven down, but have in mind for the goat also already. You're only missing one up for the goat, so do that. So he was conscious of what the Rebbe said before, that the goat can't go before the bull. But he thought in this case, the goat's not going before the bull. If it's going simultaneously, that's not a problem. It's only a problem that it shouldn't precede it. So he did the bull correctly, and now on the bottom, when he's doing down, he could do the bull and the goat together, and then he's just missing the one of the goat. He could do one up on the goat. But then Rava rebuked him even more and said, that it's not good. Rava said to a papa, till now they called us in Israel, they called us foolish. Now, if they hear what we said now, they're going to say fools of fools. They come, we're teaching them and they don't learn. We're trying to get the point across. They still didn't chap. Why? Because the same way we said before that the bull has to be before the goat, so surely also within the goat internally, the one up has to be before the seven down. The Seder is Ma'akev, and the person says first do one up and seven down. So here that you did one of the bull, fine. And now the one down, you want to get everything over there and say that the seven down counts for the bull and the goat, and then do one up of the goat. That's also no good because you did the seven down of the goat before the one up of the bull. The one up of the goat. It's true that the bull went before the goat or simultaneously, but you didn't do the one before the seven. You did seven before the one. So that's also not true. Ella, you should do like this. Ella Marava, Nosin Shabalamata Lashimpa. The right way to do it is to finish doing the seven down It's true, everything's mixed up already, but you can do it l'shem par for the bull, and then you have to do again 1 up and 7 down for the goat. The next case, we had 2 cases so far, and now the next case. Nisavulo kosos b'kosos. Till now we spoke about that bloods got mixed up into the same kli. They got homogenized. Now we're talking about these. You have all the cups. The cups or the mizrach. Here the Mark calls it a kos. Before we called it a mizrach, the bowls that you have the blood in. One is of the bull, one is of the goat, and he doesn't know which is which. Not that they got homogenized. They got mixed up in the same cup. You have 2 cups. You just don't know which one it is. The problem is the Bach points out over here that you should be able to distinguish. The Gemara said before, one is more than the other. Different shades of color also. Maybe even he wrote down parents or, but for some reason, I don't know what the answer is. Why he can't go out to ask a question? He holds to the Kohen Gadol, but why not go out and ask somebody which was which? But we'll leave the question as a question. But the one wants to know, if not for that issue, if for some reason it's not discernible, what do? You have 2 bulls, everything is fine. One is bull, one is the goat, but you don't know which is which. So what do you do in this case? No sein, v'chozev v'nosein, v'chozev v'nosein, shlosha pamim. That's the end of that Gemara. You sprinkle from one of them up and down, and then from the second one up and down. Up and down means 1 up and 7 down, and then again from the second one 1 up and 7 down, and then you go back to the first one and you go again 1 up and 7 down. Rashi explains that you don't know which is the bull, which is the goat. So you do 1, 2, and then 1 again. The first one, and then the second one, and then the first one again. So if the first one was the bull, so you got it right. You got the first bull and the second bull. Everything was the right order. First you did the bull, then you did the goat. Let's say you got it the wrong order. So you did the goat and then the bull and then the goat. So the first one was out of order because you did the goat before the bull. So, but the second and third will be good. There's no problem that you did the first one out of order. So that doesn't count. So the one that you did the goat before the bull, it doesn't passel the bull. It just passels the goat. The goat blood doesn't passel it. Doesn't mean it wasn't a good sprinkling because you did it out of order. So if you did it like that you did one bowl from one bowl up and down, 1 up and 7 down. Then you did the second bowl 1 up and 7 down. Then you go back to the first bowl go again and do 1 up and 7 down. You surely got whatever you needed. And you surely did the bull before the goat. And the last question, this is the final question now, on the 4th line, miktsas damim nisavulo, and miktsas damim lo nisavulo. That's the part of the blood got mixed in and part did not. That means that you have one bowl that has the blood of the bull, one bowl that has the blood of the goat. That you have, no question. And you know which is which also, everything's fine. But some of the blood got mixed in. Rashi says a case of having a third bowl, and some of the blood of the bull and the goat got mixed into the third cup. So the Gemara is going to talk about what the issue is. So what do you have here? You have three bowls now. One of the bull, one of the goat, one of a mixture. So Pshita ki yahiv mivada'in yahiv. That word is mivad, the word vadai. You see the word vadai in between. Mivada'in yahiv. That goes without question that when you do the blood, when you do the sprinkling, surely you do from the ones which is the definite ones. You know which one is the blood. You know which is the goat, with the bull. You know which one is the goat. So you do everything you're supposed to do. So that's not a question. So what is the question? The question is about the third bowl, which you did not use, but what do you do with it? So a little hakdama, a little preface to this Gemara is that usually there's a thing called shirayim. After you sprinkle the blood wherever you're supposed to, any korban, ola, chatas. So there's a thing called shirayim, and people who say karbonos, they're familiar with that. How does it go? I forgot how the nusach goes in the davening. Shirayim nishpachim, whatever it says. I forgot. Just look at the siddur a second. Shari Adam, Hayishofach al Yisod, either Domi, Maravi, wherever he's supposed to be on the Kippur, al Yisod Maravi, Shari Adam. So the leftover of the blood. So you sprinkle wherever you're supposed to sprinkle. Let's say you had a case of Yom Kippur. He goes in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, he goes in the Heichal after the Mizbeach, and then he goes out. And leftover blood, Shari Adam, Hayishofach al Yisod Maravi, Shom Mizbeach HaChitzon. He pours it out. The leftover blood, whatever's left over in the Mizrach, he pours out onto the foundation of the outer Mizbeach on the western side. So the question is, this blood, which is in the third cup, which was not used, is it considered shirayim or not? Means if it's shirayim, it goes on the foundation of the Mizbeach HaChitzon. If it's not considered shirayim, then you just spill it out. The Gemara is going to say into the Ummah, there was a brook over there which went through the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash, and all of the whatever the Rashi called the lichluchim, whatever filth is left over, you send it out through that brook. Means it's puzzle. So that's the most question. Again, you have some of the blood got mixed into a third kli, but you still have the original two kalim. One is the blood of the bull, one is the blood of the goat. So pshita ki yav ma'vedan yav. No question that when you do sprinkle the blood, you do it from those kalim which are the pure kalim. One is the blood of the bull, one is of the goat. Miyu hanach, but the one in the third kli, which is a mixture, shirayim havu uli yisod azli, is it considered leftover blood, which is supposed to be poured out onto the yisod of the mizbech achitzon? Odilma dechuyin havu vazli lama. Maybe it's considered pushed away, and as we'll see soon, there's such a concept. Something is considered pushed away, and its puzzle is disqualified, and it doesn't go on the mizbech on the yisod of mizbech to be spilled out as shirayim. It goes into the amma. The amma is that brook where you just spill out the things that are puzzle. So that's the question. It would help to see what the Gemara is going to say soon. The Gemara is going to bring a brisa soon about any time that you have the blood which was received in two different cups, and you only use one of them, is the other one considered shirayim or not? The Gemara assumes that we know it. If it's okay, I'd like to skip a second and go back and go out of order in order to explain the Gemara. It's much easier the way the Gemara explains it soon. So if we could skip, we'll come back to where we're up to. But if you skip to the word Tanya, that's the first one on the line is Abiyadayim, Tanya. Tanya. We'll come back. This is a brisa that the Gemara tells us in order to understand what's happening in the Gemara before. So we need a little bit of this background. So the Gemara says, I'm sorry, okay. So the Gemara says, if we're skipping about 8 lines, the Tanya. First one on the line is Biyadayim low.
Yeah.
So says the Tanya. The Malahu Omer, there's the Moyishpoch. Or the Matu Omer, there's called the Moyishpoch. There are two psukim, it's talking about a korban chatas over there, different kinds of chatas. It's not our business right now which korbanos is talking about, but two different of the korban chatas. One time it says, spill out all the blood onto the yisod. That means after you did the matanas, whatever you're supposed to do on the mizbeach, so spill out the blood. One pasuk says as the moyishpoch, and another pasuk says as kol the moyishpoch. One pasuk says spill out the blood. One pasuk says spill out all the blood. So of course all the blood sounds like more than just saying the blood. So how do we reconcile these two psukim? The Gemara is not going to say that it's two different kabbanas. Yeah, all the chatas have the same halacha, and sometimes you spill out all the blood, sometimes not all the blood. What is that? So how do you know what's the halacha if somebody received the blood of a korban chatas in 4 different cups? Usually you receive it in 1 cup, all the blood in 1 cup, and then you're supposed to put the blood in the 4 corners of the mizbeach. So you take from the same cup and you put the blood on the 4 corners, you smear the blood on the 4 corners of the mizbeach, and then the leftover you spill out onto the foundation of the mizbeach. What if somebody received the blood in 4 different cups, but he used all 4? That means nasan mizachas or mizachas. From each cup, he did a matana in a different corner. So he used all 4 of them. So then everybody agrees, all the cups are supposed to be spilled out to the yisod. They're all considered shirayim. Shirayim means leftovers, and they're all considered kosher shirayim because all of them were used. Even though none of them were used for all 4, each one's only used for one of the corners, but the mice all of them were used. So that's the pasuk. That's the way the pasuk says that you spill out all the blood. Over there you spill out all the blood, but sometimes you don't spill out all the blood. Sometimes not all of it is considered shirayim. What if you receive the blood in 4 cups, but you only use one of them? You only use one of the 4. So the other 3 cups you didn't use at all. Are those also considered shirayim? Over there the person doesn't say kol damo yishpoch. Over there it just says spill the blood, not all the blood. Which one? Only the one which was used. The one that you use is going to be spilled out on the mizbech. It's called shirayim. It's kosher shirayim, kosher leftovers. But the rest of it is possible, and you spill it out into the brook just to get it out of the Beis HaMikdash. That is the first opinion. But Eliezer Shimon argues and says no. Means the first opinion says that that if you had 2 cups or 4 cups over here and you only used one, the ones you didn't use is called dachoi. It's called pushed away. It's disqualified. It's not considered shirayim. But Eliezer Shimon argues and he says that even the cups that they did not use is also considered shirayim. This is the case the second ago that we said that Tanna Kamma says that you don't use all of them. You didn't use all of them, and therefore Tanna Kamma said that those other cups are not considered shirayim. But Rabbi says no. In this case also, they're all considered shirayim. If you receive the blood in 4 cups and you only used one of them, and the other 3 you didn't use, also he says all that are supposed to be spilled out to the yisod, they're all considered shirayim. Talmud Lama v'es kol dama yishpoch. This case also he says that you're supposed to spill out all the blood, even the ones that you did not use, and that means that he holds that if you did 1 cup, the rest of the cups also use 1 cup, the rest of them also become shirayim. That's the machlokes. The Gemara finishes off. When does he use the pasuk that says damo and not kol damo. That was the whole problem. That one pasuk says all the blood, one pasuk says the blood. Tanakama said that the cups that you didn't use for any kind of sprinkling, so they're supposed to be not supposed to be spilled out as shibayim. They're puzzle. And Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon holds that case also. You spill it out for shibayim. So when does he say damo and not kol damo? That's coming to tell you that only the blood which was received in a cup gets spilled out onto the foundation. But if it was never received in a cup, it was still in the animal's neck. So then that doesn't go on the foundation of the mizbeach. That's spilled out into the amma. That's nothing. So all this till the end of the Gemara over here. All this was a background information to tell us what's the halacha of 2 cups. If you have 2 cups of blood, 1 cup was used, the other one was not. So only the one that you use, is shuli shivan. That leftover in that cup shuli gets spilled out on the mizbeach and the yisod on mizbeach hachitzon. But the one that was never used, you didn't use that blood. Does it get spilled out as shivayim, or no? It's not shivayim. It's disqualified. So based on that machlokes, the Gemara goes back now. So the Gemara understands that we know this Bryce over there, and now the Gemara is going back to ask the question over here. Again, the question was that you had 3 bowls. 1 bowl was definitely pure blood of the bull. 1 of them was pure blood of the goat, and the 3rd one was a mixture. So when you did the matanas, you're supposed to use only the ones that are pure. So you did use the blood, the kli of the coast of the blood of the bull, and you did that whatever you're supposed to, and you used the cup of the blood of the goat, whatever you're supposed to do. And now the question is, the blood in the 3rd cup, which is a combination of both of them, is that considered shivayim or not? So now the Gemara starts. The cup and the mixture is not considered shirayim for the blood that was sprinkled and it goes on the mizbeach, or it goes on the yisod of the mizbeach hachitzon, or is it considered disqualified, the chuy that's pushed away, disqualified, and it just goes spilled out, just to get rid of it. Amra Papa, afilu ma'adam akosa echad osech haber shirayim, hani mili echad yiboy lemesav matzi yahiv, aval haydi yiboy lemesav lo matzi yav lo. The Papa says that everybody here is going to agree that it's not considered shirayim. Means even Rabbi Lezer, who's that? Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon. He was the one who said that if you have 2 different cups, even the ones that were not used is considered shirayim, and it goes on the mizbeach hachitzon. But the Papa says that's only when the cup would have been a kosher cup. You could use it if you wanted to use it. You could have used it. But this one, which was combined, lachatchili you shouldn't use it. At least lachatchili you shouldn't use it. If you have better ones, the ones that are pure, you should use the pure ones. So over here, everybody's going to agree that the cup that's a mixture is not going to be considered shirayim. It's going to be considered dachui. Let's see the words again. But Papa said, even according to the Madama that says that 1 cup makes the other cup shirayim, means that if you had blood in 2 cups, before we had an example of 4 cups, but you had blood in many cups, and only 1 of them was used. The ones that were not used, so there is Madiyama that says that it's also chaver shirayim, and that was Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon, and he holds that that you do put that blood onto the foundation of the mizbeach. But he says even he only talks about when that blood could have been used. That's why it's considered shirayim, because you could have used it. But this our case, which is talking about that the blood was a mixture, and you shouldn't have used that, because of course it's better to use the pure blood than to use the mixture of the blood. So even he's going to agree that it's not considered shirayim. If he'd want to use it, he wouldn't be able to use it. So therefore, lo, it's not considered shirayim, it's considered dachui, and you don't spill it on you don't put it onto the mizbeach. That was one opinion. That was Rav Papa. And now Rav Yeshua, no, the opposite. Rav Papa, no, other on the contrary. Even the Rabbanan, of Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon, and they say that if you have blood in different cups and you only use 1, the rest of them are not considered shirayim, they're disqualified. Hani mili the dachi b'yadayim. It's only if you push it away. What does it mean pushing it away? That I could have used it and I didn't use it. That's called like it's insulting to the dam that it was kosher blood. You could have used it for matanas and you didn't use it. That's why it's considered dachui, disqualified. But in our case, the fact that you didn't use it, nobody's insulted us because he's of inferior quality. The fact that it's mixed up. So even Rabbanan, who usually say that it's dachui, over here they're going to agree that it is shirayim. So the rest of the Gemara we did already. I mean, until the 2 das, we'll continue a little bit further now. But what did the Gemara say so far? We had 4. Let's chaz over all the Gemaras. We had 4 questions today. Besides the first Gemara spoke about if the blood is supposed to go on the parochos or not. Rabbi Yossi and Romi said that it does. We passed that it doesn't. That was the first Gemara. Then the Gemara had 4 questions about the mix-up over here. The first question was if the blood got mixed up together, what do you do? And the Gemara came out that it has to be in order, the power then the source. So therefore you do of the blood of the bull, then it got mixed up. What do? So the more comes out that you have to do 7 down for the purpose of the bull, and then again 1 up and 7 down for the goat. You can't do it in one simultaneously because then the 7 down of the goat is going to be before the one up of the goat. The third question was if the blood didn't get combined in the same cup, but you have 2 cups that got confused with each other, you don't know which is which. So then you take the first cup and do all the matanos, 1 up and 7 down. And then you do the second one, 1 up and 7 down. Then you take the first cup again and do 1 up and 7 down. Therefore, you should either you got bull, goat, bull, and that would have been the first and second are good, or you got goat, bull, goat, and the second and third are good because you have to have the bull before the goat. And then the fourth question was that if you have definitely pure bull blood and pure goat blood, and then you also had a combination. So surely when you do the sprinkling, you do it from the ones that are pure. But the question was if that third cup, if it became shirayim or not. And that the Gemara says that it's not dependent on the machlokes in general. If one cup makes the other cups that were not used, if it makes them shirayim or not, that is machlokes. But our issue was not related. And the Gemara has 2 directions to which way do we go. Rav Papa says that for sure it's considered dachi because you weren't able to use it. And Rabbi Yeshua says opposite. For sure it's not considered dachi because since you weren't able to use it, it's not considered dachi. You weren't able to use it. It's not considered insulted or not. So it's not disqualified. Now new sugi starts, and that's on the bottom about 10 lines up. Iwa dama par, iwa dama par l'sof damasor. The Mishnah said that after he finished doing the sprinkling on the curtain or in front of the curtain, so then he mixed the bloods together, and that's going to be in order to put the blood on the mizbeach, which is coming up the next sugya, and he's still inside the heichal. He so far did in the Kodesh HaKadoshim and in the Heichal, opposite the Paroch. So now he's going to take the blood, mix it, and put it on the Mizbeach HaPnimi, the golden altar, which is usually only used for the Ketores. It's the Mizbeach HaKetores. But here, the Pasuk says he should do it for the blood of Yom Kippur. He also puts the blood on the corners and on the roof, on the top of the Mizbeach HaPnimi. So the pasuk is very interesting. The pasuk says that he should take v'lakach midam apar midam asayir. That's the point that Rashi means the pasuk over here. V'lakach, where is Rashi? V'lakach midam apar. Here is the pasuk. Third wide line in Rashi. V'lakach midam apar midam asayir. It doesn't say if he takes it together or not. Interesting pasuk that you can see 2 ways how to learn it. It says he should take by the Kodesh HaKadoshim and by the Heichal. It says openly that he takes from the blood of the bull, and then he does up and down, 1 up, 7 down. Then he shechs the goat. So it's definitely over there that it was separate. But the question is that it says he takes from the blood of the bull and the blood of the goat, and he does it on the mizbeach. Does that mean that he does it as a combination, both together, or he does each one separately? So that's not so clear. The pasuk can be read 2 ways. So that's the Gemara. It says, and our Mishnah says you mix it together. So the Mishnah says you mix both bloods together. Our Mishnah supports this the shita that says that you do mix the bloods in order to put it on the corners of the mizbeach, and that's machlokes. The Itmar, Yosef, Rabbi Yonasan, Chadam, Marvin, Chadam, Ein Marvin. There's machlokes between Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Yonasan if you mix it or not. And our Mishnah says you do mix it. The one who holds you don't mix it is going to say that first you do the blood of the bull on the corners of the mizbeach, and then you take the blood of the goat separately. But our Mishnah says you mix them together and you do it simultaneously. And not only simultaneously, you do it as a combination. Both bloods are combined together. But the Gemara so far doesn't know who holds what. If Yosef Yonasan, one says this, one says that. Who holds what? Because time the Marvin. The Gemara says I can bring you a support that Rabbi Yosef is the one who says that you do mix the bloods. Why is that? This is a general machlokus, not only over here. In the whole Torah, whenever it says 2 points, do you say that they're both together or each one exclusively? So Rashi brings an example where they're talking about, it says in the pasuk, if somebody curses his father and mother, he's chayiv skila. Ish, asher yikalel esaviv esimo, you kill him. It's a capital punishment for somebody who curses his father and mother. But the pasuk says somebody who curses his father and mother. Does that mean dafka both together? You might say that only if he cursed both of them together, his father and his mother, then he's chayiv misa. But if he cursed only one of them, maybe not. That depends how you read the pasuk. When you say this and that, doesn't mean either one, doesn't mean both of them together. So there's machlokus over there. Everyone holds, everybody holds that if he curses his father or his mother alone, also is chayiv misa. But the question is in the pasuk it says as yikalel asaviv esimo. What does that mean? So Yoshia says that might have meant only both of them together. You need another pasuk. Aviv kilel, aviv imo kilel. The pasuk goes over again that even if he cursed any one of them, he's chayiv misa. But you need a pasuk to tell you that because the pasuk alone yikalel asaviv esimo might have meant both of them together. Rabbi Yonasan says no. Rabbi Yonasan says that the pasuk alone it says that he cursed his father and his mother. It means each one individual exclusively. So there's a machlokus in general. Whenever it says two things, does it mean both of them together or not? So based on that machlokus, the Gemara says here that it says v'lakach midam apar midam asayir. That's what we said before. This pasuk v'lakach midam apar midam asayir is going to be this machlokus. According to Rabbi Yoshua, it means both of them together. According to Rabbi Yonasan, it means each one separately. The Gemara tries to get out of it and says afilu tema. 3 lines from the bottom. Afilu tema Rabbi Yonasan. It could be that even Rabbi Yonasan agrees over here that you would sprinkle both of them together. Shani yachad ichsiv achas. Here it says the word achas. Where does it say the word achas? There should have been a Torah or here to say that achas means the pasuk. Rashi brings down the pasuk over here. It says v'chiper Aaron al karno sav achas b'shana. This is the pasuk. Then the pashas Tesava, the last pasuk in pashas Tesava. Over there it says that the mizbeach Ketores is only supposed to be used for Ketores. You burn incense on the inner mizbeach, the golden altar. But it says once a year you use it for the blood of Yom Kippur. Achas b'shana yichaper on the blood of Yom Kippur. So it says once a year. But Rabbi Yonasan will say that even according to me, that sometimes the pasuk could have been interpreted that you take the blood of the bull and of the goat separately. But since the pasuk says one time a year, that means you don't do it in 2 stages. You do everything in one shot. So if you're going to take the blood of the bull and the goat separately, then you do it 2 times. It must be, since there's achas, that maybe it means, even according to Rabbi Yonasan, it means only one time you do mix the blood together. But the Gemara says right away, Tanya de lo kishinuin. There's a price that goes against our answer. It means even though we wiggled out of it to say, Rabbi Yonasan might agree over here that you do both bloods together, but the pressure price says no, that he argues and he says that you do the blood separately. It says in the price of lakach midam apam midam asayir sheyu murav and Rabbi Yoshua. Rabbi Yoshua is the one who says that they should be mixed together. But the beginning of Daf Mem Chesed, Rabbi Yonasan omer mizeh b'fnei atzmo. Each one is sprinkled separately, exclusively. First you do the blood of the bull and then of the goat. You don't mix them together. And Rabbi Yoshua really asked the kasha that it says achas. Don't you read the pasuk says over there in Parshas Tetzaveh achas once a year, and you're doing it twice a year because you're doing the bull and the goat. I'm stuck because the pasuk says bayas bull and goat, and that according to me means each one separately. It doesn't say yachdav, so it means separately. So what do I do with the pasuk that says achas? That it means don't do twice. Like same way you Rabbi Yoshua are going to say that you do it once. I know you do it once, and don't do it a second time. So according to me, also the same thing, that don't do it a second time. Whatever you're supposed to do, don't do it only once. It's true that the blood of the bull and the goat do go separately. That's not called twice. That's called also only doing it once. But don't do it again. Don't do the blood of the bull a second time. Only once a year, not twice a year. And the Gemara says, Tanya idach, we learned in the Brisa, v'lakach midam apam midam asar, sheyu murav zabazeh. The Brisa again says the farish that the bloods are supposed to be mixed when you put it onto the mizbeach. At omer sheyu murav zabazeh or eno elamaz mitzvah f'neasma zeh f'neasma. Maybe it's separate. How do you know? Tamad lomer achas. The pasuk over there, the Tesava says achas. Ustamar Rabbi Yoshua. This Brisa goes like Rabbi Yoshua. It's not mamish like Rabbi Yoshua l'chorah, because Rabbi Yoshua would have said even without the pasuk achas, we would have said that it means together. Because in general he says that when it says even without yachtav, it means together. But the Brisa says the same halacha as Rabbi Yoshua says that you do mix the bloods. Taisa talks about this point we're saying now. Does Rabbi Yoshua himself need the pasuk achas here or not? That's the question Taisa talks about. But just as far as halacha goes, we do pasuk like that both you mix both bloods together before you do it on the mizbeach primi. You do mix the bloods together. Just to review whatever we learned today. The Gemara had a machlokes in the parochas. On the kaparos, everybody seems to agree that you don't touch the kaparos. When you sprinkle the blood, the Kohen doesn't touch the kaparos. The lo al. But by the parochas was a machlokes. I didn't say at the beginning of the Gemara. First we had the pasuk v'chein yas alo moi. That's the pasuk that tells us that whatever you did in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, you do again in the Heichal. Hashachini tam b'sof tu masam. Hashem was with us even if we're tamei. Then the next Gemara machlokes if the blood is supposed to touch the parochas or not. The one say not. both not by Yom Kippur and also not by the Par Halam Davar or Se'avod Zarah. It does not touch the Parochas. If it touches, it touches, but it doesn't have to. Rabbi Elazar Bar Yossi argues, he says that he saw in Rome. It could be so both of them, that it's considered not considered. So all the bloods, he says, are supposed to touch the Parochas. Will be passing like the Rabbanan that it's not supposed to touch the Parochas. After that, the Gemara had 4 cases of questions. If it got mixed up, the first Gemara said if the blood got mixed up, you still could use it, but you have to do it 1 up and 7 down for the bull, 1 up and 7 down for the goat. You can't do it in the wrong order. Also, within the goat alone, it has to be, and the bottom Gemara says it has to be the 1 up and the 7 down of the goat in that order. You can't do the 7 of the goat down and then the 1 of the bull, 1 of the goat up. It has to be the order of 1 up and 7 down of the goat also. The next Gemara spoke about if you have the cups mixed up, not that the blood got mixed up, you don't know which cup is which. So do the first, the second, and the first again, so you surely got the right order. The next Gemara was about the Shirayim. If you had 2 cups that were the pure bloods and 1 which got mixed up, so surely you do the hazos from the ones that are the pure ones. As far as the mixed up one, is it considered Shirayim or not? That's machlokes. If Papa says that it's not, it's dachui because it wasn't usable. And if anybody says no, since it was not usable, that's why it's not dachui, it is considered Shirayim. In general, there's always a machlokes between Tanna Kamma and Rabbi Elazar Bar Yossi. If you receive the blood in 2 different cups, the cup that you did not use, is that considered Shirayim or not? That's a machlokes. We pass, and it seems like the Rabbanan that it is not. It's considered dachui, and you don't put it on the mizbech. It's not considered Shirayim. But Gemara said that it could be even here. They might agree that it's considered Shirayim because you couldn't have used it if you wanted to. The next Gemara said that this issue that it says that before you put the blood onto the mizbech, you mix it. It's not simple. That's what we paskin, but it's not simple. It might be dependent on the machlokes that it says yachtav. It doesn't say yachtav. If it says 2 things and it doesn't say the word yachtav, doesn't mean together. It doesn't mean exclusively. And it seems that we, as far as over here for sure, we do paskin that you mix the bloods together. Maybe because it's achas, maybe even without the achas, you mix the bloods together and then you put it onto the corners of the mizbeach zahav.
Rebbe.
Yes,
Rebbe.
please.
One grammatical question. Tipshoi, what's the connection grammatically between stupidity, tipshoi, and novel, which seems to be the same root as nivel peh?
I don't know. The word nivel peh, some explain that it has to do with the withering, like aleh navel, v'lo yibol. Some say that it's called the withering mouth.
That makes sense in the sense that if you don't,
as far as the people,
if you don't use an aver for its purpose, so like we see in Talmud Devor, the example from the Navi, Hashem says, "I can wither your limbs in a second." So maybe if a person doesn't use it for the right purpose, so it deserves to be withered up.
So what Tipesh also is that he's not using his brain, he's not using his head. Maybe that might be. It is a chiddush to me that the word novel, the Targum translates as tipesh. Tipesh is a Aramaic word. Nowadays they use it in Hebrew maybe, but tipesh is really Aramaic, and he translates the word novel. The Ramban over there again says that a novel is an ingrate. You do find that by Novel Carmelik, Volhu over there, the whole story about they might. I don't know more than that. So again, the Targum says novel is a tipesh, and you want to know where does he get it from? What's the shorsh of the word novel to mean foolish? Okay, I don't know. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back in about 5 minutes.